I'll share with you a story in that vein. I mentioned before, when I was a young teen, 13, 14, I started going through all the Hanochas, all the Sichos of the Rebbe that were not in Likud Sichos, the Hanochas. And I came to Yud Aleph Nissen Tavshin Lamed Beis. I came to the Rebbe's 70th birthday. And I remember that. I remember the Tom. I was only 8 years old, just before my 8th birthday. So I wasn't old enough to understand anything, but I remember the Tom. I remember my father leaving for Shabbos right before Pesach. Was like, wow. And I remember the Farbrengen. I was at that Farbrengen in London. I heard the hookup. But I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. But in Hanocha, there is a line in the Hanocha that says, after the Maimer, they sang the Nigun B'cho Hashem Chasisi B'his Oiderus Gedola, something like that, with a great inspiration. And the Rebbe, afterwards, after this Nigun, the Rebbe said the following Sikha. What did the Rebbe say? The Rebbe said that there's something that I wanted to introduce into Lubavitch, but the Rebbe didn't say introduce. The Rebbe used the word, I wanted to basically hammer it in. I wanted to install it into Lubavitch, and I was waiting for a special moment. So the Rebbe called this a special moment. This Nigun, a special moment. That's why they wrote it in the Hanocha. There's no other page of the Rebbe's Torah that says anything close to this. It says that the Rebbe stood up to dance, but it doesn't say they sang a song with great inspiration. Like, what does that mean? And what did the Rebbe mean by that? So I read that and I said, wow, that's amazing. What does that mean? So I waited for my father to come home. And I showed my father, I said, he said, oh, it was amazing. I said, what happened? Like, what manishtana hanigun azeh? What was the difference between this nigun and any other nigun that they ever sang at the Farbrengen? Because you don't see this on any other page. He says it was indescribable. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. It was one of these moments. It was like, I said, what happened? And he's no answer. He just didn't know how to answer it. And so I was friendly with the older Bochrim at that time. This is Lamed Zayin, it must have been Lamed Ches, Lamed Ches. And I asked different people who were there, 10 years older than me, Yossi Galitsky, Richie Whitkus, different people that I know. And everyone answered the same way. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. I said, describe to me what happened. And nobody could. Not one person. And over the years, I kept on asking this. In Mem Gimel, they started giving out the tapes. WLCC gave out the tapes of previous years. I bought that tape, and the whole nigun is missing. It's just you hear the beginning of it, and then they didn't used to record the nigunim. It took up too much space in the tape. So they would stop it, and then would open it up again when the Rebbe started speaking. So you didn't have it. Only about 15, 16 years ago, a bacher gave me a gift. And the gift was all the available clips of the Rebbe, special moments. It was on CDs. It was a case of CDs, probably pirated by this bacher. There was about 25.
I have one of those sets.
Right. I still have that set. It was 25 CDs.
I should say, I don't know if I have it or I left it at my parents' house because we don't have DVDs anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I had a whole package of that, and each one of them had the date on it. So I came home and I opened this up. Wow, what a treasure of clips that I never saw before. So I went through the dates, and the first thing I saw was Yud Shvat, Tavshin Lamed, Tes Shvat, Mashiach Sefer Torah. So I watched that. This is about 12:30 at night. So 1:30 in the morning, then I took out Yud Aleph Nissen Lamed Beis. They had the whole nigun on the video, the whole Farbrengen on the video. And I watched this thing for the first time in my life, having for 20 years wondering what is going on here and why is this considered such a special moment that the Rebbe himself says I was waiting for a special moment. And you see that the Rebbe is encouraging the nigun from time to time, shaking with the head and a little with the hand. And when the Rebbe would do that, the crowd would liven up. And according to the energy that the Rebbe was giving, that's how the crowd became energized. So if the Rebbe was moving very, very fast, the nigun would go very fast. If it was a little slower, it was a little, the Rebbe was the conductor. In this case, though, the Olam is singing B'chor Hashem Chassisi disproportionate to anything the Rebbe was doing. They were jumping up and down, and you can see there's like, you can't see the color, it's a black and white, but they're like a red in the face kind of thing. And everybody is just screaming, Hashem, they're singing it over and over and over again, and the whole place is jumping up and dancing like this. And there were notorious non-singers at the Rebbe's Farbrengens. People who just didn't sing. Maybe they didn't know how to sing. Maybe they didn't want to sing. I don't know. Even the old guys at the back behind the Rebbe, the old Chassidim, Shmuel Witten and the Rifkin and the Simpson, they're all moving up and down. Their hands are moving. And at one point, even the guys sitting were standing up and dancing. It was like, it was a crowd that was just, you just don't see that because at the Rebbe's Farbrengen. You see the conductor part of it, but you don't see how the place is just going crazy by themselves. So I watched this. It's about 20 minutes. And then I rewound it. I started watching it again. By the third time, maybe even the second time, certainly by the third time, it suddenly hit me. And I jumped out of my place and I started jumping up and down and I stayed up for the next thing I knew it was 5:30 in the morning. I had watched this maybe 10 times because I suddenly caught on to what was happening there. And this was a moment where the place was screaming 3 words: I love you. The Olam, the people who were there, who got so caught up in this Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu, in the Avas Chassidim to our Rebbe, that it just spilled out. There was no controlling it. And the Rebbe, at the time, there was no one saying L'chaim. Everybody was just singing and dancing. The Rebbe is moving back and forth. He's watching, he's looking. He has a slight smile on his face. And he's like taking it in. At the same time, the Rebbe is, but the Olam is going Meshuggah. And they're screaming out basically, we don't know how to say this. We love you. And the Rebbe said, oh, you love me? 71 new institutions, please. Now you can take over the world. If you love me, it's not about dancing and singing. We need to dance and we need to sing. But now you take this energy with you and take over the world. This is my way of looking at it. But what I found amazing was that I jumped out of my chair and I found myself there. I wasn't there. I wasn't there ever. I didn't know what happened over there. Nobody else could tell me what happened over there. But once I watched it and I saw it and I internalized it, I became part of that crowd. I was there. I transported myself there. My whole Metzius was there. And then I understood. That's what made me understand. And by the way, after that, I approached all these people. From my father to Galitsky, all these people. And almost all of them nodded and said, you're right. That's a good way of describing how we felt at that time. So I got it. You know why I got it? Because I was there. But you weren't there. You were just watching a video. I know. But somehow, even watching a video but focusing on what's going on, not just watching something that you memorized or you heard or you're thinking about, but actually being there, you could put yourself there and start feeling what they were feeling. That's how that taught me an important lesson. And that when you want to say something about the Rebbe, it's not just saying, I remember the Rebbe. It's about saying you need to go and experience it today.